Hello and welcome to Monmouth in Focus, a program about the services and functions of Monmouth County government. I'm Cynthia Scott, your host for this segment of Monmouth in Focus. And today we are joined by Monmouth County Surrogate, Rosemarie Peters. Rosemarie, thanks so much for joining us today. Always a pleasure to have you here.
Happy to be here.
Your office offers a variety of services. Tell us about what the office actually does.
Actually, the Surrogate's office is very different from any other county department because although it is part of the county government, it's also part of the court system. And everything that we do is legally based. It's a legal procedure that's done either in the Surrogate's court or the Superior Court.
You have not just an office in Freehold, which is the main hub, but you also have 4 satellite offices as well, correct?
We have offices in Middletown, Wall, Ocean, and Neptune on different days of the week. Most of them are open from 8:30 to 4:30, with the exception of the Neptune office, which is in the County Connection next to Home Depot, and that's open from 11 to 7. Which is an added convenience for residents because if you work and it's hard to take time off, you can make an appointment there after working hours and take care of what you need to take care of with the Surrogate's office without having to take time off.
A large part of your office deals with wills.
Estates, basically. Estates with wills, estates without wills. We do close to 3,500 estates a year. Some of them have wills, some of them we have to appoint an administrator or someone to handle the transfer of assets that are in the name of a decedent alone. We also handle guardianships of minors, guardianships of incapacitated persons. We handle adoptions. We hold on to money for minors who come into money, and they need a guardian to take care of this money during the time they're a minor. Minors aren't allowed to hold money in this state, so there has to be someone appointed who's in charge of that money until they turn 18. And there's a Surrogate's Trust Fund where a lot of this money ends up going, and then the guardian has to apply to the court in order to use the money, so it protects the money for the minor until they turn 18. This is a little known function of the office, and it's also little known to people who are leaving money to minors. They don't understand that they have to set up some way that there's an adult who's appointed to take charge of the money until the child turns 18. You can't just leave money to a minor by their name alone, without setting up a custodian or a guardian or someone to be in charge of that.
Who's in charge of that in case the parents die?
So we have over 600 accounts for minors and over $25 million. So it's obvious that a lot of people aren't aware that this is something you need to look into if you want to leave money to minors.
And that's once the minor turns 18, then the money goes to them?
The entire amount goes to them, which is also something that people are a little concerned about. Some of these minors have money in the 6 figures, and
they're 18 and they're young.
Most 18-year-olds may not spend it judiciously, shall we say.
Sure. That's a great way to put that. So you talk about estates and how you handle estates. What are some of the biggest concerns that people come in with when it comes to their estates?
Some of the biggest problems that we see that people have created for themselves, but that really don't come to attention until after they're gone, is people can't find the original of the will. We can only probate the original of a will in the Surrogate's office. Sometimes people don't have the original of their will. Their attorney has it. Maybe the attorney dies or retires. And then when the person dies, their family is looking for the original and they can't find it. Sometimes people write on their wills and make changes, handwritten changes. That's a no-no. And that could actually send the will into Superior Court for a hearing, which is a very slow and expensive way to probate a will. And so people need to keep their hands off their wills once they've been signed and executed. And if they want to make a change, they can do something called a codicil, which will just amend part of the will. So those are a couple of the things that are relatively common. The other thing we're seeing is more form wills that people will print off the internet and try to fill in as best they can, but maybe they don't fill in everything they need to fill in. They should have it witnessed by 2 witnesses and all the signatures should be notarized. sometimes people don't get the witnesses or they don't have the signatures notarized. So those wills can run into problems. And people think they're doing the right thing. They think they're saving money by doing it themselves, but they really need to be fully aware of all of these legal requirements if they're going to go that route.
What's your advice to somebody who comes in and wants a living will?
Everybody should have a living will. We don't do wills in the office, but we advise that people have a living will and a health care directive and a power of attorney. All of those things are really important. As a matter of fact, one of the things our office does is handle applications for guardianships of incapacitated persons in Superior Court. It costs thousands of dollars, and it's a fairly laborious procedure, and it's usually done for individuals who've become incapacitated, either physically or mentally, and who don't have a power of attorney and don't have a living will with a health care directive and a health care proxy named. So you can head off that expensive, slower process of having a guardian appointed through Superior Court by having these other documents.
There's a lot of these topics can be quite confusing to people. So it must be somewhat challenging for your office to kind of lay it all out on the table and keep it simple for them, correct?
I think the thing that's difficult about the people who are coming to our office is that primarily they're people who are grieving and who've lost someone close to them. So we understand that we're dealing with people who really need a very gentle approach and a helpful and compassionate approach. And that's something that I think the Monmouth County Surrogate's office has prided itself on for many years. I hear good things about the people who work in our office. I think they take the job seriously and really, I think, do a wonderful job.
Absolutely. And how about programs or lectures? Does your staff offer any of that?
Actually, I do. I've spoken to many groups in Monmouth County, mostly seniors groups, service organizations, different types of groups. I have 2 speeches that I generally give. One is just a general informative speech about what the costs are if you don't have a will, what happens if you don't have a will, or if you have a will that we can't probate. The other one is probate problems of the rich and famous, which surprisingly are very similar to probate problems of the non-rich and non-famous because they make a lot of the same mistakes.
Right.
People see them as some kind of godlike figures, but they're human beings, and they really do make the same range of errors in handling their money and their affairs as the average person does.
Maybe more sometimes.
They have more money to mess up with. Yes. And so anyway, I have a speech that covers some of the more notorious problems that that have occurred. For instance, how many people know that Howard Hughes died intestate, which means without a will? Howard Hughes, a billionaire, there were 22 wills that were presented as supposedly the valid last will and testament. Only 2 of them went into court. Neither one of them was admitted by the court. And so he ended up dying intestate, and his money was shared by a large number of cousins, probably second cousins. Maybe he'd never met them. That's what happened to Howard Hughes. And it took 30 years to resolve all of the assets in his estate, which could have been avoided if he had had a good last will and testament and all the right documents. So,
good piece of trivia
interesting.
There. And basically, if people want to find out more about the Surrogate's office, we would obviously go to www.visitmonmouth.com. But /surrogate.
Yeah,
But do senior centers throughout Monmouth County or municipalities contact your office to say we need the surrogate to come in here and provide us with some information?
It happens often. We have several booklets that we distribute. One is all about wills and trusts and estates, lots of questions and answers, phone numbers and websites for different agencies that people might need to get in touch with, Social Security, inheritance tax, things like that. We try to do as much outreach as we can because most of the errors that we see people make are avoidable. But only avoidable before an individual dies. After they die, it's sometimes too late.
Absolutely.
And then you end up in court.
Okay. All right, Rosemarie, thanks so much for joining us. Lots of good information out there.
You're welcome.
And again, for more information on the Surrogate's office, you can go to www.visitmonmouth.com/surrogate. I'm Cynthia Scott. Have a great day, everyone.